Jack and I had dreamed about owning a quiet cabin by the lake for years. It was a perfect place to escape city life and enjoy a peaceful weekend together. We never imagined our biggest challenge wouldn't come from nature. It would come from people pretending to have authority. Everything changed just 3 days after we moved in. The neighborhood seemed quiet and welcoming. A few neighbors waved as they drove by, and everyone appeared friendly. We spent the morning unpacking, arranging furniture, and making the cabin feel like home. It was exactly the peaceful life we had hoped for. That peace lasted until a woman in a luxury SUV pulled into our driveway without warning. She introduced herself as Linda Brooks, the president of the local HOA. Before we could even properly greet her, she immediately began making demands. Linda claimed our cabin had automatically become part of her HOA and insisted that we owed several fees. Jack politely asked if she could show us the official documents proving her claim. Instead of answering, Linda became irritated and raised her voice. "Our property records clearly show we're outside the HOA boundaries," Jack explained. Linda barely glanced at the paperwork before dismissing it. "Those records don't matter," she insisted. "My HOA has authority over this neighborhood, whether the county paperwork says so or not." As she drove away, Linda leaned out of her window and warned us that we would regret refusing to cooperate. Her words sounded less like a disagreement and more like a threat. We hoped that would be the end of it. Unfortunately, it was only the beginning. That evening, we tried to put the encounter behind us. We enjoyed dinner while watching the sunset over the lake. The peaceful surroundings made Linda's behavior seem almost unbelievable. Neither of us expected what would happen the following morning. Just after sunrise, a black SUV rolled into our driveway. 3 men wearing uniforms labeled HOA security stepped out. Linda followed behind them with a confident smile, acting as though she had returned with real law enforcement officers. The men announced they were there to place us under HOA enforcement. Jack calmly asked them to identify their legal authority. Instead of providing a clear answer, they demanded immediate compliance and attempted to intimidate us. Before anyone stepped toward the front door, Emily walked forward and calmly displayed her official federal credentials. The atmosphere changed instantly. The men who had arrived full of confidence suddenly looked uncertain. Linda realized something had gone terribly wrong. The fake officers immediately stopped talking. Their confidence disappeared the moment Emily presented her identification. Linda looked from one face to another, watching her plan unravel before her eyes. No one dared take another step onto our property. Emily politely asked each man to identify himself and explain exactly what legal authority he possessed. None of them could provide legitimate law enforcement identification. Their silence spoke louder than any explanation. Linda's confidence continued to fade. Finally, one of the men admitted they worked for a private security company. They explained they had simply been hired to enforce neighborhood rules and never expected to confront a real federal officer. The situation quickly became uncomfortable. Jack began recording everything on his phone for documentation. Emily calmly explained the legal limits of private security authority. The men listened carefully, realizing they had relied entirely on Linda's claims. Their expressions shifted from confidence to concern. Emily compared their HOA identification cards with her official federal credentials. The differences were impossible to ignore. Even Linda could no longer pretend everything was legitimate. The evidence spoke for itself. Jack contacted the local sheriff's office and reported the incident. Emily encouraged everyone to remain where they were until deputies arrived. The atmosphere became quiet and tense. A short time later, sheriff's deputies arrived at the property. They approached professionally and listened carefully to both sides. Several nearby neighbors quietly gathered at a distance to watch. Everyone understood the situation had become serious. Emily introduced herself to the responding deputies and carefully explained everything that had happened. The deputies reviewed our property records, everyone's identification, and Jack's video recording. The facts quickly became clear. Linda's story began falling apart. County maps confirmed that our cabin was completely outside the HOA boundaries. Linda had absolutely no legal authority over our property. The deputies thanked us for providing organized documentation. The truth was impossible to dispute. The deputies then questioned Linda about why she had organized a confrontation. She struggled to explain her decisions. The private security guards admitted they had acted solely on Linda's instructions. The entire situation had turned against her. Jack's recording clearly showed how the confrontation had started. The video confirmed that we had remained calm and cooperative throughout the incident. Every important detail had been documented. The deputies appreciated the evidence. Several neighbors stepped forward and shared similar experiences involving Linda's aggressive behavior. Many admitted they had stayed silent because they feared retaliation. Their statements revealed a troubling pattern. Linda no longer looked confident. She realized the investigation had become much larger than she ever expected. Even the security guards kept their distance from her. No one wanted responsibility for what had happened. Every official document supported our position. Property boundaries, county records, and ownership history all matched perfectly. The sheriff thanked Emily for remaining calm and professional throughout the entire situation. Fact had replaced accusations. Each security guard explained who had hired them and exactly what they had been told. Their stories were consistent. None of them claimed to be sworn police officers. The misunderstanding had finally been exposed. For the first time that day, we were finally able to relax. The truth had been recognized. As we looked across the peaceful lake, we were reminded why we had chosen this cabin in the first place. Peace was slowly returning. Before leaving, the deputies thanked Emily again for handling the situation professionally. They explained that pretending to possess legal authority could result in serious legal consequences. Everyone agreed the confrontation should never have happened. Respect replaced intimidation. Linda finally drove away without saying another word. The neighborhood watched in complete silence. Her attempt to bully us had completely failed. As her SUV disappeared down the road, the atmosphere immediately felt lighter. Our quiet lakeside cabin finally felt like home again.